everyone. Welcome back to the Last Chance Qualifier Round 5. And here on stream, we have from Nigeria, we have Joy Ola, and from Zambia, we have Mwape Isaac. Now, I look forward to this game in particular, and it's going to start any minute from now. So stay tuned.
All right, guys. Looking at the standings, we have an interesting turn of events here. Two Kenyans are up front, leading the standings. We have Philip Mutinda topping the standings right now, followed by Daniel Makanje in second. Closely behind, we have Okpeyemi Oloro from Nigeria. And in fact, we have three more Nigerians in the person of Ojo, Timiwoko, and Nsikan in the top six. All right, the
Alright,
game.
moving on quickly to the game. Joyola has a rack of ENGNES blank, and she has a bunch of options to play for. And she could play Genlis, which is what she's arranging on her rack for 68 points. She could also play Lunges for 66 points, 2 points less. For ceiling, listen, a lot of options. So
Yes, for the first move, there are a couple of bingos here, definitely. But one thing Scrabble players try to do is you want to designate your blank to a letter that is already in the letters you are arranging. So something like Jennels would not introduce a new letter as a floater. That would be Gennels. But here she goes for ceiling for 68 points, which still scores really well. Although it introduces a new floater now, which is I, but still just play your bingo, play what you're sure of, and just move on.
that has been committed for 68 points. Moving on to Isaac with a rack of TIDDORS.
The cows look very flexible, especially with the E floating. Unfortunately, there are no valid bingos available for him on this turn. So I'm quite curious to see what Isaac comes up with.
A couple of options here might be to play odd, just below ceiling for 17 points with a good leave of IRST, or Dido for sim points leaving RST. Now, what do you think is likely going to play?
I mean, he's already arranging the ODD move. To me, this is a bit risky. There's XOZ, you could book that later, SOX even, and you're also obstructing the E floats, which would go well with what is leaving on his rack. But still, he's just going for his points, leaving a pretty solid rack leave. And here we have Joy Ola with APHARTA.
Options could be to play AAH with the H hooking with the H sitting on the triple letter from the SO for about 28 points, leaving APRT. Now for 30 points, you could play PAH instead, leaving two A's though.
She has chosen to play AAH, hoping to have the best rack leave of PART. I have to say, Joyola is a very impressive player from Nigeria. She's still a university student who has found her way to the last chance qualifiers here in Ghana to compete, or hopefully to compete in the main event tomorrow. It's nice to see a lot of budding players from all over the country, and Joyola is definitely one to look out for.
Yeah, she's a young, promising player, and we really look forward to see her on the stream. Now I think she's playing Path
Yes,
instead.
yes, yes.
Right.
Win ARA. All right, next up we have Isaac with DRIFTSN. All right, we see someone in the chat pointing out that Parathas could have been played to the S in ceiling if not for the ODD move from Isaac. That would have been very interesting to see, honestly.
Now I think we might see a bingo from Mbappe.
16.
Mwape, pardon me.
I was wondering at first if you had the footballer on stream.
The names are quite
Okay, so
similar.
with those styles, he plays FAND, and Joella wasting no time plays a move BRAB.
It needs the bingo of in drafts.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, true. The I in ceiling in drafts. A costly miss from Isaac Boyd. Still early in the game, anything can happen. All right, for those of you in the chats, if you're rooting for Joy Ola from Nigeria, you could drop maybe a Nigerian flag, or if you're rooting for Isaac from Zimbabwe, from Zambia, sorry, you could give a shout out to him.
All right.
I see you, Damilari. Thank you for joining us. Okay, it's Isaac's turn now. I think he exchanges his styles, had too many vowels, I believe. And now he leaves RITS, which is a solid leave. Meanwhile, we see Joyola with AROINTI. I'm sure she's locked in on that G or the D, thinking if she has a bingo there. Exactly. And we see someone in chat pointing.
Yeah. Pointing through, she could play rigatoni through the G of ceiling. Interesting. Do you think she'd be able to spot this?
Definitely, I'm sure she has done her due diligence, and if she really thinks it through, she would be able to eventually find that word. Although, yes, it's a bit elusive. You would be thinking of words ending with ing, so to think of rigatoni might, not be that easy. But I think Joella is someone who can definitely find such a play.
Definitely.
We're still looking to update the scores on the stream, but from the commentary booth here, we can tell you Joyola is on 9.
Sun is up, the city's bright. Accra calling day and night. We've got the letters, we've got the score, knocking right upon your door. Hear the rhythm, feel the heat. Can you handle this massive beat? Aquaba, Aquaba.
All right, we apologize for the break in transmission. Now we are back. Unfortunately, we see Joyola misses Rigatoni. She plays POI, and Isaac wastes no time, plays Slatia, SOHS. You're seeing the Zambian flags in the charts, the Nigerian flag in the charts. It's nice to see Africans supporting their own. All right. Joyola now has KRATTIN. Not the draw she was hoping for. She would have loved to see an E or an S or something. Still, I'm sure she's fixated on the G, hoping to lay an ING bingo or something. Or if she can't, maybe look for a play going down from the A in Slatia, which is exactly what she wants to do.
Just challenge that.
All right, we can see she has spotted Akita for a sizable point. All right, I think we are seeing a challenge here, and that's going to be 5 additional points for Joy Ola. We're seeing more people in the chat, most likely cheering on Isaac. Alrighty, waste no time. Please, AUA is tiles are way too vowel heavy and doesn't have a lot of options currently. So AUA same standard here. I'm sure he's taking his time, making sure he's not missing any stellar plays, but currently there isn't much he can do on this board.
All right, I see you, Tacho Doshima, rooting for Nigeria.
All right, thank you so much for those in the chat. If you're watching, do give this stream a like, leave some comments, share on the players you're rooting for. Really appreciate everyone being here. All right, we see Isaac rethinking his move. Just wondering if the AUA scores way too little or if there's something else he could play somewhere else on the board.
All right, I think he's going for AUA, but a different spot.
Yes. I think that's reasonable because now you're leaving an S hook for the AUAS. So that spot remains open for a straight seven, and the I, T, and A are floaters still available for him to, come back into this game and play a bingo of his own. So I'm guessing that's why he changed his mind. Just wants to keep the board open, keep his options open.
Definitely. Now it's back to Joy with a rack of NOYRTRN. A couple of options here might be to play from the Hour of Slater by playing Roti for 24 points. What do you think about this move, Excel?
Yeah, RORTY is probably the best she can do right now, scoring the most points, but unfortunately leaving duplicated ends. Yes. But still, at this point, she just needs to keep punching. The score is 187 to Isaac's 113. All
Option. Okay, I think she's going for the other option of nine
all right.
instead.
I see the thought process with this is you have a lead already. So let's start conditioning the board gradually. At least now she doesn't have to worry about three floaters down the board. Later on, she could, go to
15,
the AUA and
15.
or even just leave that spot because it's not as scary as playing a triple
Okay.
board play.
Immediately, Isaac plays Sion through the high of Slater for 15 points.
Yes.
Back to Joy Ola, she has a rack of OUT,
Okay, two U's. Probably.
Q.
Yeah. And just 1 point styles. I'm sure she's
And
wondering
nothing
what she can
bingoes.
do on this turn. You can see how our range outrun, but no spot for that, I believe. Yeah, there's no spot for that on this board currently. One
Yeah.
of our best options would be to just play something like Ruru down from the R of Slatia. That keeps TORNH is a lot better than keeping two U's. But I'm curious to see what Joy Ola comes up with in this game. Thank you so much for those in the live chat. We see those still written for Joy Ola. Thank you for joining us.
15.
I see TROU.
All right. She plays it to the left hand side of the board, okay, turn and read. And here we see Isaac quickly spotting his bingo, coincide,
21.
hooking AUA. Now you can see why the AUA move earlier on at this spot was important because as soon as he played, Joyola did what she could to block the floaters in Akita, but because he had opened up another spot, now his coincide bingo can fit into the board. And as you can see, I believe Joyola is challenging this move, and that's going to be an extra 5 points for Isaac.
76.
right, so we see on Joy Ola's rack, we see UNTRASH, which doesn't play any seven-letter bingo. I'm sure she's glad to see the H because now she can hook the C in coincide and probably play something towards that right hand side of the board. And don't forget, a trowel move earlier takes T. It doesn't take an S, and she has a T currently in her rack. So I'm sure she's probably looking at that spot to thinking if she could play something underneath trowel. But obviously, the most tempting spot on this board has to be exactly where she's going to right now. The E in coincide exposed a double letter play down to the triple word square, and I'm sure that's exactly what she's going to play or where she's going to play. And she has arranged HURT standard play that scores a boatload of points, leaving ANS on a rack, hoping to do some damage with this next one. Find this move, uses up the T she could use later on for Trout, but still she just has to go for as much point as she can and also burn the U on a rack. No one really likes to say U, honestly, except it's with a Q. All right, currently Isaac has his rack obstructed, but I'm sure soon be able to see what he has. Fantastic. He has a blank on his rack. All right, I'm sure he's going to take his time with this move, making sure he doesn't miss any bingos. But with the shape of the board, it's going to be pretty difficult to fit a bingo anyway. The only obvious point I'm seeing right now is the hook for bed. He could play a bed there and he has an A, but I'm curious if he has any bingo that would fit on that lane. All right, we see Ebenezer in the chat. He spotted Lawines or Lawines for Joy Ola if an opportunity presents itself on the next turn to play. Okay, with no.
26.
All right, we see Isaac opting for YE, playing the long game, hoping to stay patient, that is going to be an open spot for a bingo later on. Thank you so much, Fashola Kayode, for the kind words in the live chat. All right, no available spot for Lawines for Joy Ola. So I'm curious to see what she's going to do on this turn. All right, we see her play AWNS, a fantastic play hooking R8, WO, and NU. This move is definitely going to increase our lead a lot further. And what I love most about this play is you don't have to worship the S and keep it saying, oh, I want to keep balancing for a bingo. This scores quite well, and the board is pretty much blocked already, so you might as well just be going for your scores inside the board. All right. Next up, I don't know if anyone has been following the chats all morning, but in the first game for today, I believe Iliago was played. And here we have Isaac having a very similar rap to that. ILIAGO blank. Still no spot for him to play his bingo, so he opts to just plunk down the G. We can see the LOG, okay, GINN, and OK as a nice sneaky spot there. I still think Isaac needs to start opening up the board because Joy Ola definitely wouldn't do that for him. I understand that he's still being patient, going for his scores inside the board and keeping the blank, hoping to do some damage with it later. All right, thank you so much for the observation in the chat. Yes, we'll try and correct the scores for Joy Ola. She is on 2 wins and 2 losses, in fact, while Isaac is on 3 wins and 1 loss. We'll have that corrected soon. Thank you. All right, so Joy Ola now has VIIDEOL. As we've discussed, she's definitely not going to open up this board. So she's probably going to play down the R of Slaty and keep things locked.
Yeah. She has other options. She could play from that same house. She could play Rived or Roved, and I think we are seeing Roved coming down for 22 points.
All right, I'm sure if she was sure of right, she would have gone for that, but it's best to play it safe. The one thing Joy Ola can afford to do in this game is to play a phony, because the moment she does that, then that gives Isaac a chance to score and
Get back into the game.
exactly. So playing roles that she's 100% sure of is understandable. And here we have Isaac with VIELIA blank. I'm sure he's still fixated on the bed hook, hoping to play bingo there, but I doubt he has available any of those bingos available in this turn.
Yeah, exactly what I thought he would do. He's playing Vice for 15 points, leaving AIL blank.
I'm sure this is not a play he wants to make, but he has no choice. He has to keep very balanced tiles and just take as many points as he can. The downside is this vice has no way of overlapping on top to play a bingo because V doesn't take any two-letter word. So the board is continually becoming blocked, and we'll see how Joy Ola responds with this.
Joy Ola has a record GIALERI. Now, not much to do here, but if she's trying to balance, she could play AI from the RT of odds for 10 points, leaving EGILR. Or she could play G high for 7 points from the NU of trial. Okay, somebody observed Tiger High. That's interesting. It would have been really nice if we could see that come down on this board.
7.
Alright, we saw Joy Ola quickly play GI and Isaac wasting no time playing Quill. This is exactly the move he wants, and here's the reason why. Quill takes the back hook S, so that opens up Squill for him later on in this game. And with the look of things, there are no S's available, so the blank has to be an S for him to play a
So
bingo.
Quill has been committed for 37 points. Now, this is a chance for Isaac to get back into the game if he finds what he's looking for. Back to Joy with a rack of FILERAB. Okay, she's taking her time on this one, and looking at the scores, they are quite close 327 to Isaac 301. So she might want to take her time with this one. Okay, she's using that hook from bed and she's playing Fab.
29.
Okay. Well, apparently she missed a bingo of fireball through the L of ceiling. Wow, that's interesting. But she played Fab instead. So Fab has been committed.
Alright, we can see both players taking their time, tracking out the tiles left in the bag. This is a very important thing to do so you can decide what tiles to play and make a proper calculation of the tiles you're most likely to pick or the tiles your opponent most likely has.
Okay, fireball would have not come down because Brap is right on top of it. So the move of Fab was the second best choice for that round. Moving on to Isaac's rack.
Yeah, he has it covered for now, but last I recall, he had a blank with him. All right, so he has WIMIER blank.
Okay, thank you, Big Putin in the chat.
I'm sure he's still fixated on the squill hook,
Yeah.
but the thing is, he needs to have his blank as the S. Also, with the fab play, there is SABED, so he can at least be sure that there are two S hooks on this board. With the fab move, it has to end with something like ES, IS, or OS. And with Quail, he just needs to play a 7 letter word ending or containing S.
So for this turn, if he decides to play Iwi, it would block the hook of S square. If he plays Iwi right beside Quill for 23 points, leaving EMR, not only does he opens up the triple lane, but he also blocks the hook to the Quill for Squill. So he might really want to take his time on this one.
True, true, true. I think what he would love most is to maybe play WI somewhere that doesn't affect the squeal and doesn't affect the hook for SABED. So I'm sure he's going to take his time, look through the board, and try and figure out a way to snag this win from Joy Ola. As you can see from the rack, she has JEXLRIZ. You would love to see this ideally, but the issue is with this board, it might be worrisome to see the three biggies at once. Z, J, and X can't do as much damage as you would like. And there are only 3 tiles left in the bag. And as pointed out in the charts, yes, I can confirm it is E, E, N, I believe.
Okay, I believe we are seeing Rim.
All right, this is an interesting move. He hasn't committed it yet, but I'm sure he's thinking of setting up a play to the triple. But I'm curious why you would want to opt for this. From his perspective, there should be 3 E's left on scene. So easily Joy Ola could just play something like ZE and block off that spot. So, but it's understandable that you're creating a threat there and there's still the SABED threat. But left to me, I wouldn't touch the square hook at all.
So he's opting for Iwi instead, just right below the board G high. So Iwi has been committed by
The only downside to that is it doesn't score as well, but MIRE blank with the right draw, we could be seeing an out bingo in this game.
all right. Okay, we apologize about the audio. Joy Ola has a rack of RLIZJEX. Now, Excel, what would you do in this situation?
Well, with 2,000 left in the bag, and you're saying your opponent most likely has the blank because playing IWI is too suspicious a move.
Exactly.
So stellar plays here would be something like JEUX without like thinking twice. But the thing is, do you want to play out and hope it doesn't have the exact styles to play bingo? It's a very difficult decision if you ask me.
Definitely. JU Hex is not a bad option. It scores at 36 points, leaving high hell RZ.
Yes. From anyone following in the chat, let me see if you can predict how this game ends. There are 2,000 left in the bag. Isaac has REMMIE blank. It is Joy Ola's move. She has JEXRLIZ. Obviously, you're worried about an out bingo. From her perspective, she's seeing things like Emery's, as someone has said in the chat. I'm sure he has Immerse and many other options. So, with that in mind, what can she do? Thankfully, she has a lot of time to think this endgame through. As someone has said in the chat, XU is an interesting option because you're playing out just one tile. So even if Isaac plays a bingo, he still has to pick one tile left in the bag, and Joy Ola would have another chance to play something on the board which might score really well and outscore Isaac in the end.
Someone also said LUZ. She should play that.
No, the thing with LUZ is it empties the bag, and that's something she definitely doesn't want to do.
I think dropping the X at this point would be a preferable option, and with 2,000 left in the bag.
Yeah.
Okay. I think dropping the X in this round is an option she might want to consider.
So I'm curious to see what happens if XU does come down and we can already tell Isaac has immersed to play above Squill. Then with Z still left, oh, we see Joy Ola
Wow.
arranging JEUX on the board.
36.
I think one thing she just needs to focus on here is regardless of what she plays, be it XU or anything else, anywhere else in the board, as long as she doesn't empty the bag, she's good to go. But as we can see, she has committed JEUX. Now it falls on Isaac to spot Immerse and Squill. And that is definitely going to end the game right here, right now.
Wow.
All right, with 9 minutes on the clock, I expect Isaac to spend every second, every minute to spot a valid bingo. You can see him arranging things like remis, reminds, maybe, but he needs to take his time here and simply spot immerse to win the game.
So immerse is the winning move for this round.
Yeah, for someone asking in the chat if JUX has a drawback, the thing is, it empties the bag. And from a perspective, the tiles left in the bag are way too flexible. So the best thing there would have been to drop one tile and leave one tile left in the bag so that she can reply after his bingo.
Exactly.
So all that is left now is for Isaac to spot immerse, and we see him arranging mix.
Wow. I definitely did not see that coming.
I see no reason why this move needs to be rushed. He has 7 whole minutes.
I think he has taken it back, still taking
Yes.
his time on this one.
Okay. We are seeing a non-valid word of remis. But the thing is, even when this is challenged off, can Joy Ola spot that he has immersed to the square and still block that spot? But let's see what happens. All right, we see him arranging remis, looking at it. He hasn't hit the clock yet. So I'm sure he has his doubts if this word is valid.
Yeah, that's why he's taking his time. But unfortunately, this is a phony and
The moment this is challenged off, all Jola needs to do is play NIX and kill any hope of him
playing
playing the
shooting.
immerse. Yeah.
Yeah,
It might seem scary that she's still keeping the Z, but she's going to play that off later, and there are no out bingos for Isaac after that. Yes, very well said in the chat. We know SAB is valid, but unfortunately, REMMIES is invalid. Will he have one more chance to play immerse and skill? Let's see what Joyola does here.
27.
All right, she opts for ZE. Fortunately for her, this move still wins because the 27 points is just enough for her to still win the
Yeah.
game.
32.
Sorry?
33.
The thing is, even if Isaac spots a mass in this turn,
Which
it
unfortunately,
doesn't. Joyola would still have won with 5 points. We can see he's still thinking. I'm sure he knows the squirrel hook. The thing is, he hasn't even arranged immerse on his rack.
immerse,
So I think
yeah.
if he sees immerse, he would think, okay, I can play this to squirrel and immediately play it. But
33.
unfortunately, I doubt we'll be seeing immerse come down. I
Hmm.
like what Big Putin is saying in the chat that he's immersed in thoughts. All
So
right,
really,
we see him playing mix eventually, and Jola is going to finish with Rain scoring even quite well.
25.
All right, she changes it to LIN, which gives Isaac one more chance to finish this game.
Oh,
All right, we see EMO, I believe, come down beneath the J in Joe.
wow. Bingo at the right time
Yes,
because that would have changed the dynamics of this game, probably securing his lead.
true.
But the phony play just at that crucial moment
Yes,
changed the dynamics of this game, sealing Joy Ola's win. Wow, what a win for Nigeria.
true. Fantastic play from Joyola and good play from Isaac nonetheless.
Yeah,
45. I'll be
definitely.
at 454.
What do you have yourself?
370 for me.
3369. Okay, let me put mine. It is 68
All right, we
99
can see both players just confirming the scores. So from our end here,
2 219 261 298 320 330 okay 327 355
356.
356 okay that makes it 4154 so what about yours
Do you have 251 for me?
25 no
17 33 104
17 plus okay 33
Okay, and that brings us to
104.
the end of
okay I've seen it
round five with Joyola's 445 to Mwape's 455 to Mwape's 370.
Yes.
Wow, what a game this has been.
yes, it's been very interesting. There was a rigatoni miss from Joyola earlier in the game. But I think one of the moves I loved most from Isaac was the AU. As simple as it might seem, he did set up the core sites to come down
Yeah.
later. The only issue was spotting immerse later on in the game to win. But this was fantastic play from both players.
All right, that brings us to the end of round five. Stay tuned. I will do round six in a couple of minutes. Thank you. Peace out.